All right. Greg Fernandez, FTT 104, week 4, assignment 2, detail stripping your firearm. Per last week's comment, I didn't want to break apart my BCN build. Didn't buy a new rifle, so I went and reverted back to my old control rifle. Just a ballistic advantage, a 16-inch barrel. I want to say it's basically the premium version of the M4E1 from Air Precision. I love it. Had no complaints with it, no jams whatsoever. Probably shot about 2,500 rounds to 3,000 rounds through it already. So if you're interested, ballistic advantage. First things first, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and obviously lock the bolt to the rear. All right. Physically and visually inspect the chamber and the mag well, make sure that there's no live rounds. This is an empty magazine, obviously. It's just, some rinky dink setup that I use. I got a couple of these from the Army. Thank you, Army. And I use it to help break my weapon systems apart, okay? So without further ado, let's get into the detail stripping process. Well, here are all the components broken apart. I didn't take the gas block and tube off because it's staked. I don't want to mess with the gas pressure on the system. As you can see, I was having some trouble. I had a friend of mine at the range actually replace this safety mechanism for a broken one. This is actually a great system. I think it's Timber Creek. And I love how the ambidextrous safety of Timber Creeks feel. That they're absolutely outstanding. Hasn't broke on me. I put all the internal components inside of bags, obviously, because I don't want to lose any springs. It's always good to have spare parts, especially the pins for your takedown pins. And the springs as well, because you know they shoot off everywhere you go. So this is going to be part one. Since I'm taking this weapon system apart, I decided it'd probably be a pretty cool idea to try to do a rattle cane job on this one as well, just like a BCM. So part one, on to part two. Greg Fernandez, FTT 104, week 4, assignment 2, part 2. Detail stripping your firearm. Went ahead and completely disassembled the firearm minus the safety selector switch on the firearm itself because I did strip a screw, and I kind of don't want to waste any more time, but obviously that would be another piece that we take off to do a proper detailed strip of the firearm. Went ahead and painted the firearm as well. Used a matte pearl. Yeah, matte dark pearl, courtesy of Krylon. Painted the weapon system or the frame, stuck it in the oven for sessions 2 to 3 times, I think, for about 115 degrees for about 15 minutes. And it came out pretty good. But without further ado, again, the workspace is clear of any live ammunition. And let's get to it. Okay. extra effort to put the upper back together. So not a problem. Okay, it's in. All right, we're cooking. And she's in there. All right, so last but not least, functions check, right? So we want to make sure that the firearm is doing what it's supposed to be doing after we, disassemble it and reassemble it. So without further ado, point the weapon in a safe direction, empty magazine, okay, load it, and we have bolt lock. Drop the magazine, release the bolt lock, hit the bolt release, weapon's on safe, squeeze the trigger, nothing. Put the weapon on fire, hold the trigger down after it fires, cycle the bolt, let the trigger reset, and hear that metallic click. And we are good to go. Again, Greg Fernandez, FTT 104, week 4, assignment 2. Thanks for watching.